Welcome to the Synergy Sessions, Aging Smarter in Silicon Valley. I'm your host, Tom Nelson, and I know firsthand as a family caregiver and part of the sandwich generation how tough it can be to take care of your aging parents while balancing your own life, career, and family. We'll bring you the experts and information necessary to help make your life a little bit easier and you a little bit smarter. Synergy Sessions is brought to you by Synergy Home Care, bringing you personalized in-home care and peace of mind to Silicon Valley families. I really do hope you enjoy the show. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Synergy Sessions, Aging Smarter in Silicon Valley. I am super excited today. We have Dr. Jennifer Schachner from the Timpany Center with us, and I want to get this all right because the Timpany Center is a very special place, and I wanted to talk about their mission and just an overview. As a nonprofit therapeutic recreational facility, the Timpany Center operates under the auspices of San José State University Research Foundation in conjunction with Santa Clara County. Their mission is at the Timpany Center to provide recreational experiences for a community that fosters adaptability, inclusion, support, education, and respect through the use of innovative programs and specialized services. We are guided by equity and compassion by offering opportunity and advocating for accessibility in order to cultivate a more inclusive society for every individual to thrive while upholding integrity and professionalism throughout. Welcome, Dr. Jen.
Hello.
Really appreciate being here today.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a doozy.
Yeah, it is a doozy. And, I think one of the very interesting things is not only a facility and nonprofit it is in conjunction with the university as well as the county. So there's a lot of players, and we're the Synergy Sessions, which is working together various components, and this just speaks to that in so many different ways. Can we just start and just talk about your role as the programs and operations director at Timpany, and kind of just in general, who does Timpany serve and what do you do there?
So we do a lot, which the mission statement kind of outlines.
Right.
My role is pretty much overseeing everything that happens here, from the basic what classes we're teaching to the finances to the fundraising. Literally everything that keeps us going is what I do on a daily basis. What we do is we serve a multitude of the community, anywhere from 6 months old to, gosh, I think our oldest right now is 102 years old, in anything from personal training, fitness classes, walking, water, land. We have a fitness center. Most people just know us for our pool, and our pool has, it's a 92 degree, it's 100,000 gallons. And people have asked me kind of, what's the shape of your pool? It's a very unique pool. Some of you, Tom, I know you've been down there. And it serves everybody pretty much all day. We have people coming in for therapy because we have physical therapy on site. That's not managed by San Jose State. That's like a third party. And, we have just walking lanes. People can walk, swimming lanes. People can swim. We have the fitness center. People can come in and do their exercise. All of it has some sort of adapted component to it. So our fitness center has wheelchair machines for people who use wheelchairs. Our pool has a 0 entry ramp, so you can actually roll your wheelchair or water wheelchairs right in. Wow. Don't have to, worry about trying to do stairs and things like that. So we're all inclusive as much as we can be, given that our building was designed in the 1970s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very forward thinking.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So the components that you're mentioning, so it's all adapted, and it sounds like, with the ramps and everything, it's just making things as accessible and easy for people of all ability levels. So you did talk a little bit of the components. So there's the aquatics, there's the fitness center. Are there other recreation components?
So we have a large basketball gym that we host community classes for not only our people or our population, but we do rentals to, like, Valley Health comes in and they teach their lunchtime classes to the doctors and the nurses here. We have basketball rentals at night where the youth basketball, some are at risk, some are just regular programs, come in and they're able to utilize the facility for their practices for that.
So what What would you say is the primary, we talk about aging successfully, but we're talking here from aging lifespan, which is amazing at whatever, wherever they're at, you're meeting them where they're at. What would you say is the biggest difference between Timpany and just somebody going to either a community center or a fitness center with the pool or,
I think our biggest number one is that our pool's 92 degrees. If you
okay,
go to the Y, you're gonna find maybe 85, maybe
right.
82, somewhere in there.
Hmm.
And in terms of therapy, that 92 degrees makes a big difference for people
Right.
who have arthritis, who have joint issues, for people who can't always regulate, people who
Hmm.
might have had spinal cord injuries can't always regulate their temperature. So it's
Right.
providing a nice warm environment for those in that situation. I think because the building was designed initially for adaptations in mind,
Hmm.
you've got all of those things coming into play. Having that zero entry ramp in the pool, it wasn't something that was, I quote unquote, normal back in the
Yeah.
70s. And we have
Right.
that, and we have that
Yeah.
ability to do that. Everything we do, every decision we make, we look
Hmm.
at every ability level. Wheelchairs
Okay.
rolling in, walkers, canes. I don't know if your fitness center down the street does that
Right.
with their program.
Probably not. My background is in the health and fitness industry, from wellness to community centers to commercial fitness centers, and so certainly a unique aspect because most of the facilities, as you pointed out, their pool temperatures are lower primarily because they're for lap swimming,
Hmm.
and you don't want to have a super hot pool for lap swimming because you'll overheat. But your pool, I would imagine, for mobility and to be able to go in is more conducive for a therapy approach than it is for
Yeah.
a lap swimming approach.
And well, some of our people come to lap swim here because they
Hmm.
can because of the warm water.
Sure.
So you've got almost
Yeah.
the opposite. They're not worried about overheating. They're getting in there
Right.
and they're able to now, because of the heat, do those longer swims. We're not
Right.
talking about competitive lap type swimming, but I've got
Hmm.
a guy who goes in there. He's in there for maybe an hour, just back and forth, nice and slow, enjoying his
Yeah.
laps. That's
Hmm.
his thing every day.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So,
amazing. So if people are coming in, so as you know, I also was in the adapted program for my degree at San Jose State. So I have a little bit of knowledge of this, but probably to be dangerous right now. But so you're meeting everybody where they're at. I think one of the other differences that I'm perceiving, and we talked about a little bit, is your staff.
yes.
So how are the staff different than maybe just a traditional fitness center? And maybe like how do they assess a new participant to make sure they have the right program that's going to be beneficial for them?
So most of our staff came out of our internship program through the kin
Mhm.
department at San Jose State, with some
Okay.
exceptions.
Right. Which is kinesiology for those that aren't in the lingo like we are.
We really look towards when they come in as an intern. First of all, we look at their
Mhm.
background, what classes
Mhm.
they've taken, what their interests are, what direction
Mhm.
they want to go. A lot of them want to go the physical therapy route. So
Okay.
they're already getting a background of health conditions, structural
Mhm.
conditions, things that they might need to look for. Once they get hired, we actually do in-house trainings where I
Mhm.
have a setup where I do a simulation lab where I've
Mhm.
come up with some of these DIY things where
Mhm.
what is it like to have low vision and walk on the treadmill? What is it like
Yeah.
to have your arm where you don't have as much functionality and lift a weight
Mhm.
or go in the pool? And we actually run them through sort of all these simulations to kind of give
Mhm.
them a perspective of what they might be looking at. And that I think that helps them assess the clients as they come in. We don't
Mhm.
have like a official, oh, we're going to assess you to find out where you are. We do
Mhm.
run more like a 24-hour where if you want to sign up and come in, as long as you
Mhm.
fill out the appropriate paperwork, we're not
Sure.
concerned about a health risk screening, not a health risk
Mhm.
screening, but like you don't need a doctor's referral. You don't need
Right.
insurance. It's more
Got
like
it.
a 24-hour structure
Yeah,
for
yeah.
our fitness programs. For
Okay.
their physical therapy side, that's a different
Right.
situation. But our staff, we put them through trainings, we put them
Mhm.
through, we find things that, hey, our swim lesson instructors do an adapted swimming intake for kids on the
Yeah.
spectrum.
Okay.
So there's a lot of training in house
Right.
that we do.
Got it. Which seems really important because I think when people first think about adaptability or disabilities, they're thinking physical. And you just
Yeah.
mentioned low vision, autism on the spectrum. I mean, these are so many dimensions that your staff has then trained or prepared or have a sensitivity towards? I mean, because you can't
Yeah.
train everybody on every little nuance. I mean, it's
No.
impossible to
And
really, but have that. Yep.
they've
Go
been
ahead.
taught
Sorry.
to research. If they've gotten a client and they've got a client now that has X, Y, and Z, we've taught them where to look, where the reputable places are to look. Not that they haven't gotten that from their classes on campus,
Hmm.
but where do we look for certain conditions that aren't in that textbook in one of our basic classes? And we sit down with them if they need help and go through their program, what our ideas
Hmm.
are. And in some cases, we have some of our trainers have permission to speak with the doctors of our clients,
Wow.
if it's a more severe or more unique situation.
One of the aspects of this podcast is the aging successfully or aging smarter. The smart part is being more aware of resources to help you age better. When I was there were a lot of seniors there, and some of them. So two questions. One is, do you have to have a specific disability to be at Timpany Center? And as a senior with that you may or may not have a disability, I mean, what are the benefits for seniors to come to your facility as opposed to anything else, or what's unique for seniors?
So I think number one, you don't have to have a disability. We've got
Okay.
people coming in here off from anywhere that just
Hmm.
feel more comfortable here. It is a community. It's not
Hmm.
just a come in, work out, go home type of
Hmm.
situation, which for a lot of our seniors, that's why they come. They could care
Hmm.
less what you're doing in a class or what they're
Yep.
doing on the treadmill. No, not that that's not important, but they're here for that social connection, which does happen at a lot of senior centers. And I've worked at a bunch, but I feel like this one is much more close knit, much more
Hmm.
of a family
Hmm.
than other places, because a lot of the people that do gravitate here do have disabilities or they do have conditions, and they can walk in here and know that they're not being judged. And that I think is so important, going to your question of why don't they just go somewhere else? I've
Yeah.
had so many members come in here and be like, I went to 24-hour and I looked at what they were wearing and
Yeah.
I'm not going to wear that stuff and it made me
Right.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big, not only, the facility itself being set up for what we are, but that
Yeah.
whole community and that comfort level. And I pride myself on hopefully that our people come in and feel not judged and
Yeah.
capable and just given that confidence to do all the things that they want to be able to do here.
Right. And when you're saying 24-hour, you're basically saying general mainstream commercial fitness
Yeah.
centers in general.
I mean, the YMCA has a lot of senior
Hmm.
programs, but they're also just very limited time of day. Our
Yep.
people can come in all day, every day, Monday
Hmm.
through Friday,
Yep.
unfortunately, because of a lifeguard shortage, but
Yeah.
it's different than a very set time frame where it's just the
Right.
senior time, that
Yeah.
we have here.
So since it's not just for people with disabilities, it's like all ability levels. What about the caregiver, like the family caregivers? So are there programs, can they work out together, or are there other supportive? I mean, just to be able to bring somebody potentially could be a great respite opportunity for family caregivers, but how do you support them? How do they fit into this mix?
I think a couple different ways, and we've
Hmm.
struggled with this a little bit just because of our
Hmm.
own bandwidth and what we can
Hmm.
kinda handle and do. A lot of our caregivers actually have to get in the water with their
Hmm.
person because
Hmm.
they need to care, but it also lets them be in the water, be in this warm water with them, and the work
Right.
is different, right? When you're trying to help somebody move through the water, it's a lot better on you than if you're trying to help them
Sure.
move on land.
Yep.
Depending on the client, if the client's able to get in their water on their own or they're working with a
Hmm.
trainer or PT, the caregiver has access to all of these things.
Yep.
Granted, they would have to have kind of their own membership, but we're not going to
Sure.
say you can't use the facility. They have that here. Parents, a lot of times I see parents that are coming in with their children,
Hmm.
they just sit and rest. And a lot of our
Yeah.
caregivers do that too. They just want that
Yeah.
half an hour to look at
Yeah.
Facebook or whatever.
Right.
So we have a lot of options. They're not structured as like
Hmm.
caregiver programs
Sure.
per se, but there's a lot of different ways that caregivers can interact with us when they're here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Since this is part of San Jose State, and I should also mention that you are a professor at San Jose State and connect with San Jose State. How many other types of programs like this are there across the country? I mean, you had mentioned general senior centers create some of these opportunities around social and also specialized exercise programs. But is Timpany fairly unique, or are you aware of other programs? So if somebody is watching this podcast from another state or county or somewhere, is there something that they can look for that might be more in line with what you provide?
So we are very unique, unfortunately, for what we
Hmm.
have in terms of the university connection with a program. The next closest program that I know of is Cal State Northridge. They do some similar things, but you have to have a doctor's prescription to use their programs. But they
Okay.
interact and use student staff to run their entire facility, and it's on
Okay.
campus as well, which helps them
Okay.
a little bit more. And I've looked in Kansas, I've looked in Missouri, I've looked in Georgia for people that are moving away from us that want to find
Yeah.
something. And the best advice I can give is look
Uh-huh.
to your local fitness program. Look to
Yeah.
your why, look to your I'd say 24 hour is going to have potentially a
Hmm.
program, and see what they're offering and ask
Yeah.
questions as to, where do their trainers come from? What is their
Yeah.
background? How did they get there? Are they certified? Because those are things I don't think that we know to ask or think we
Hmm.
can ask. And that's going to be important to the longevity of the program that you're going into, but also for your own health and safety with
Right.
that program.
Is Timpany Center, how does the membership work? Is it just like a general membership that you're paying by the month, or is it by the visit, or what is the structure?
So it's got a lot of structure because we want to
Okay.
have the flexibility for people who may have lower incomes or may have
Yep.
stricter finances. So you
Mm.
can do a drop in, you can do a
Okay.
monthly membership, you can just pay for classes, you can just pay for a trainer. And we've
Hmm.
got the kind of all encompassing, but then we've got the a la carte type
Okay.
programs. We
Got it.
also have a small scholarship program,
Hmm.
which I don't always necessarily announce because it is such a
Hmm.
small amount of money,
Yeah.
but that's filtered with donations. It actually
Hmm.
was started by Joan Timpany, who is the daughter
Oh.
of the building's namesake. So we try to be able to hit all members of our community.
Hmm.
We have a grant that allows us to offer free classes for arthritis participants,
Oh, wow.
which
Great.
we may or may not have after next week because of
Hmm.
the fiscal year, and we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we try to do things to help the community because that's what we're here for,
Hmm.
all the way
Right.
down to like the financial side of things if we can. We have
Right.
limitations as well as a nonprofit, but we have scholarships
Right.
out there and free classes.
So that's a great point. So even if somebody right now isn't a participant but would love to support your program, they could contribute to the grant or the foundation to be able
Hmm.
to provide maybe some type of a sliding scale for those in the community that aren't able to maybe afford full price or
Yes,
and
absolutely.
got it. That's amazing. I was also going to ask about, I think what we talked a little bit about the community. Do you have anybody in mind that maybe started the program and joined the group, and you know what the transformation or what the impact was on that person? Because when I was there, somebody walked up and said something to me that, like, the services you provide are, transformational for people. And I think I would love it if you had either somebody or a group or somebody that you can maybe speak to that stands out, that's been impacted by your program.
If you want me to pick one, there's there's a lot. I
As
mean,
many as you like.
people come here in pain and they start
Hmm.
doing exercise that's I think the pool becomes less of a barrier
Yeah.
because people are afraid of falling. They're afraid of
Yeah.
re-injuring. You get in the
Yeah.
water and all of a sudden you take that out of there. But then you're
Yeah.
also building muscle and you're building strength that you don't
Yeah.
feel the same way if you were on the treadmill
Hmm.
or if you were on.
Right.
And over time, as people commit to the program, they realize one day they woke up and their knee didn't hurt.
Yeah.
Or they woke
Yeah.
up and they went from I have a lady and she's doing physical therapy, but
Yeah.
I get to watch people walk through the front door. So my
Yep.
office sees a hallway. And
Hmm.
when I first started seeing her come in, she was being wheeled in by what I think was her father. Over time, I then saw her kind of walking in with her wheelchair. And the last
Hmm.
time I saw her, she was barely using a walker. And you get to see these
Hmm.
transformations
Yeah.
which I have another gentleman, he's now walking. He was using a
Mhm.
manual, not a manual wheelchair, but a power chair,
Electric. Okay. Yeah.
electric chair. And the other night I came out and he's walking with a walker down the hall with his trainer.
Uh-huh.
That's
Wow.
huge. That's
Yeah.
independence.
Yeah.
That's taking changing a whole person's perspective on how they get
Yeah.
around their home and where they can go and going out to places.
Yeah. Wow. And I think, as you're talking about this and I'm kind of putting the pieces together, they're coming for the therapy or the therapeutic program, but you're creating an environment where they're not being judged, as you
Yeah,
mentioned. They're finding community, which is probably the glue that is
yeah,
getting them to come back on a regular basis, because we both know as kinesiology educators that the only way to make any progress is consistency.
yeah, yeah.
And you mentioned something that's pretty amazing. It's like, and one day my knee doesn't hurt anymore. Well, that's because you're consistent and creating an environment where people want to come back, and then you're providing the tools and the people and the equipment to be able to build that consistency and to do the appropriate exercise.
Well, and the cool thing, you just made me remember just another
Hmm.
incident that, talk about community. There's a lady that's
Hmm.
been doing personal training for a while with one of our trainers.
Hmm. Yeah.
And the other day, somebody walked past her that didn't even know her and said,
Yeah.
I have seen you working out in here for months. You are doing such a great job, and you can see the progress that you've been making.
Yeah.
Total stranger at that point to
Wow.
her. She was
Yeah.
like floored. I thought she was going to like
Yeah.
be in tears. So that's where that community comes in. They're not
Yeah.
looking, people might be looking at you, but they're looking and like, oh my gosh, look at the progress you've made. I
Yeah.
hear this from people who don't
Yeah.
even know each other's names
Yeah.
necessarily, but they'll walk up and be like, "We've
Yeah.
seen you. We hear
Yeah.
you. Keep doing what you're doing."
Yeah. And they're
You know?
inspiring and supporting each other. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
You
Wow.
can't set that up.
No.
There's something organic that's happening
Yeah.
here that it's amazing.
Well, it has to be genuine. And, I know you and your team are very genuine. It's a calling and a heart for this kind of work for sure. You do an amazing job with the program and the facility. I know that you've transformed the place in so many different ways. I
Thank you.
walked into the fitness room, which has so many different components to, address anybody's disability or and make it adaptable for them. Everything from that Pilates, uh, you know, that setup, the Pilates table and setup, it was amazing. And then all the other adapted equipment. And then also, I feel like, you mentioned earlier, sometimes people feel like they need to work out before they go to a fitness center because a certain
Yeah.
way they look and everything. How how would somebody just get started? So they're watching this podcast and they go, "That sounds wonderful. That's me. I would love to be part of this." How what's the best way to get started? What's the process to
Most of our people just walk in and say they'd
Mhm.
like to see what we've got going on.
Mhm.
We can schedule things like orientations or just,
Okay.
meetings to get you signed up. But the
Mhm.
easiest generally is to just come in. Sometimes you may
Mhm.
have to wait a few minutes if there's a line of
Yep.
people checking in for our classes, but you can kind of then, I like it when people come in because they can see the vibe.
Yeah.
They can see the
Yeah.
people interacting, and
Right.
I hope it makes them feel more at
Mhm.
ease once
Right.
they start seeing that with our site. But again, you can call,
Yeah.
you can email, you can do all those
Mhm.
things, but really just
Yeah.
walking in is the
Right.
easiest.
So whether they're calling, emailing, or walking in, they would come in, you would give them, show them around, and then they would be able to sign up, I would imagine, on the
Yeah,
spot. So whatever they do, either per visit or a monthly or, all the different ways that you make it easy for people to sign up.
yeah, they can do it
Um,
right then and there.
okay. Can they do it on the website or is it actually an in-person?
In person, they can do it on the website,
Yep.
but sometimes it gets lost in the
Yeah.
web system somewhere. I
Yeah.
prefer
Yeah.
people coming in person so
Yeah.
that we can ask questions, they can ask questions and
Yeah.
get their questions answered right away instead of having to
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah.
We don't wanna be a
No, that makes
barrier. We
sense.
wanna be
Right. Well, I
oh,
think sometimes too, people have the best intentions online and they sign up and then they never show up. I think showing up is, just what is it, 85%?
Oh yeah.
Show up, you're going to make it easy for them, and then the rest is up to them. But it sounds like you have created an environment that makes that easy for a lot of people,
We
which is
try. We
which
know
is cool.
we know how hard it is for people to come in the front door
Yeah,
for anything, and
right,
we wanna be here. We wanna be here for
right.
them.
Yeah. Wow, well put. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about the Timpany Center that maybe that you want to make sure people know?
I just want people to know we're
Sure.
here. We've been tucked
Yeah.
back behind Valley
Yes.
Med for 30 something,
Yes.
40 years, and I have
Yeah.
people that live down the street for 20 years and don't know who we are and what we do.
Right.
And so that's been my goal since I've been here, not
Mhm.
only to make some big changes and hopefully do some upgrading to the programming, but to let
Yeah.
people know we exist.
Right.
You know, if we can help somebody just by them knowing we're here and they can get them in
Yeah.
the door, that's the best thing.
So you're saying that you don't want to be the best kept secret.
Yes. We don't want to be the best kept secret. We want everybody to know we're here
Excellent.
for tons of different reasons.
Yeah, for real. Well, what we're going to have all the different ways that they can contact Dr. Jen and the Timpany Center, and your address and your website and your email and all those different ways, and the physical address. So that way you can walk right in, as you mentioned, in the show notes. I would absolutely encourage you, those of you out there listening today, to reach out or forward this information to somebody you may know in the area. There are people that live close by, but you are also telling me, Jen, that people travel distances to come because of how unique and special the program is and the friends they've made. So even if it's not too close, check it out because it's unique. Um, unique characteristics for serving vast number of different people who would benefit. So, well, thank you so much
Thank
again
you.
and for being on. And please, everybody, reach out, check out the Timpany Center, and see if it's a good fit for you. I think for so many, it certainly is. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us on the Synergy Sessions, Aging Smarter in Silicon Valley, no matter what age you are or ability level. Thanks again. Right. Bye. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Synergy Sessions. We know you have a lot on your plate, so we really appreciate you spending the time with us today. If you found the information in this episode useful, please reach out to the guest or the resources in the show notes. I know they would appreciate it and would love to help. Also, if you have an idea for a future episode, please reach out to us on Instagram or Facebook or email us and let us know. We'd love to hear from you and provide information that's useful. Lastly, please remember, you don't have to do this alone.